So we recently finished building our home gym, quote unquote, mostly a squat rack, a bench, and we have some adjustable dumbbells. And I just want to share what we ended up going through and thinking through as we built it, because we definitely went through a few iterations. At first, we were like, oh yeah, just a 4. So a lot of standard builds, especially if you're building it in a garage, we'll do an 8 feet by 8 feet. We were like, oh, well, we'll just do a 4 feet because you only need 4 feet depth for the squat stand. And then we thought we could just deadlift on that 4 feet. But first of all, one of the things we quickly realized was that this stand is at the 2 foot mark. So you really only have 2 feet to deadlift. And that's just really not enough to be safe, in my opinion. Like, you don't want to be stepping off the ledge, right? And even then, if you were to add, let's say you added 2 feet here, so you got like 4 feet, you do kind of have to be aware of these, the legs of the stand. So as you can see, the bar is only clearing it by maybe an inch, maybe like a total of 3 inches of spare space. So you don't really want it to be hitting, I guess you have the collar itself as well, because the plate will go here. But still, I just kind of felt like the margins were a little small. So I ideally wouldn't want to deadlift over here. I want to deadlift behind it. So that's I guess why most people do another 4 feet behind, right? We actually don't quite have 4 feet. That's like maybe 7 inches or so. So I was like, okay, maybe we'll do 6 feet. Still though, that led us back to the problem of only having 2 feet to deadlift here. So we added 1 more feet. So in the end, we have 7 feet deep. On top of that, we actually ended up going 7 feet wide, and here's why. So as you can see here, our center piece is wood. This is 3 feet. On the left and on the right, we have 2 feet worth of bottom layer is wood, top layer is a stall mat, a rubber stall mat. And originally actually had 8 feet here. I had a 4 foot wide piece of wood. The problem with that was actually our stand, because we're not screwing it into the floor. It actually slides a little on our piece of wood. So we're like, okay, well, we probably want to put it on some rubber then to give it some more friction. So we had 2 choices, right? Kind of like, so our 2 choices were we can either have rubber the entire centerpiece, and we can just, have wood behind if we really want a solid platform for deadlifting, or we can just have like a small piece of wood right here just to deadlift, like towards this, behind the stand. But we ended up going with a 3 foot deep piece of wood. So for 2 reasons. One, so that the stand could sit on the rubber, but also because actually, if you kind of like visually line up where this is with the collar and where the weights would be, the plates, unless you're like stacking more than 245s per side, it hits more in the center of this rubber platform. And that's good because, you kind of distribute the weight and the sound. You kind of deaden the weight and the sound more by hitting the center of the platform rather than kind of the very edge. If this centerpiece were 4 feet wide, it pretty much hits, it would hit pretty much exactly where this bar is right here, kind of on the edge of this piece of wood. So for that reason, 7 feet wide, 7 feet deep. We got a bench here. And also the stand, I believe, is 90 inches. Fortunately, we have a few extra inches, and you do have to keep in mind the stand, if you build a platform, the platform itself is going to add at least 2 inches. So I'd probably make sure you have at least 4 to 6 inches extra beyond the height of the stand itself. I guess finally some things we realized we couldn't do is like vertically storing this bar. It was something we kind of wanted to do to keep it out of the way. Let's say we want to do some like pull-ups or something over on this bar. It is really tough with how tall our ceiling is. Storing it vertically, I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna like bash the bar through the ceiling at some point. So we're not sure we're actually gonna do that, even though vertically there is the space. talk about the wood, the construction of this platform real quick. We basically, on the bottom layer, it's all wood, right? I got a 2x4 over here beneath the rubber, another 2x4 over here, and beneath the bottom layer, beneath this large piece of wood, on the top, it's one single piece of 7 feet deep, 3 inches wide, right? Below that, we use some spare pieces of wood to cover a 3x4. So underneath this top layer, it's kind of cut right there, that piece. And the bottom is also a 3x7. So we kind of have a T shape here, through here, and through here on the bottom layer is a 3x7, and through here on the top layer is a 3x7. And that kind of gives a lot of stability to the platform. Instead of using pieces, instead of cutting everything 4x3, 4x3 over here, 4x3, 3x3 over here, and everything. Basically, because the bottom shares one large piece and the top shares one large piece, we gave the overall platform much more stability. So you can't kick and slide out part of the bottom without some additional nails or mending plates or something in there. So yeah, that's basically it. Hope this helps someone.